You will. You can put it on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
You can put it flashed up
You're
there.
listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is a place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we have a very big show today. Today we have the Mayor of Burleson, Chris Fletcher. And we're going to talk about this bond issue. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but he brought a brochure here that was made by our own Deanna Phillips. She did an outstanding job.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and so if you want to see this for yourselves, it's at www.burlesonTX.com/2022bond. And also there's the QR code in the back of it, and you can get this whole thing for yourselves, which I would advise y'all to do so because this is a big deal, right? $88 million is not cheap.
Hey, let's don't go over to 86.
86, sorry, I was
get this
exaggerating. $86 million, but that's still $2 million. It's no big deal. But, I was surprised, I thought you pulled up today. I didn't see the limousine that Burleson provides the U.S. mayor, but I guess it's in the shop, right?
Same old Brad. Yeah, we had a flat on the back.
Yeah, okay. No, but I
wanted to lower it down a little bit.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being on the show because this is a question that a lot of people have maybe just partial understanding of. I had Victoria on last week, and she explained her position pretty well. And now it's your turn to explain the position very well. And I'm sure you will because this really is nice. And I think this is going to go a long way in answering some of the questions that everybody seems to be having.
I was speaking to a group the other day, and when I got through, one of the guys came up to me and said, I had 5 questions for you, and you passed these out, and it answered all my questions. Mm-hmm. So hopefully when I keep doing this, it'll have shorter meetings.
Well, sure. And I've been in these kind of meetings before. I was on school bond committees before, and if they didn't provide the pizza, it'd been a tough pull. That's how it worked. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm going to run through a first round of sponsors. I'm sure you know all these people, either personally or at least by their business reputation. And then we'll jump right into it. Also going to ask you about a couple other proposals that have come across the board. And we're going to talk about what you've learned about being mayor and some of the stuff you enjoy and maybe some of the stuff you can do without. But anyway.
Hey, if anybody's got questions, if I don't mind, the questions are out there. Whatever you got. Okay?
I hope so. I did on post that, we need to have some questions. And Taylor, I'm not pulling up the Facebook page yet.
We're live.
Okay, well, good. And so if there's any questions, just...
Yeah, it'll pop up on the screen.
Or interject them, just, ask the question. But I did have a couple of questions. I put it out there on the Facebook page, and they said, well, ask them about this. And it was all about bonds. It was about, basically, what was the money going towards, as you might guess. But anyway, before we jump into that, let's talk about first round sponsors. All right, Daniel Baisden. It might be Daniel Burleson. Who knows? He's been here a long time. Daniel Baisden, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. You know the place. Get yourself a workout. They got trainers. They got programs. They got the whole thing. So hit CrossFit Burleson on 317 Southwest Wilshire. I see Daniel's also building a structure across the street from Baisden Steel.
I saw that. Do you know what that's for?
It's going to be for cold storage is what I thought it was.
Really?
Yeah, for data and all this other stuff, which is pretty helpful because you have to have... Apparently, what I was told, you have to have a certain level of temperature to keep your data stored properly, whatever, something like that.
And if the Basins are building, it's going to look good on the front. That's what I want on Renfro.
Well, you bet. The Basins have been here forever and ever, so there you are. Also, Shandy Stogsdill, the Stogsdill Group, and I have her on once a quarter, talk about real estate, and I guess you are now getting an education about Burleson real estate because of the increased value and whatnot. Shandy's the one to talk to about this stuff. When she comes on the show, she really comes in and just doesn't give you anecdotes. She has data. She comes in with stats and figures.
We might touch on the property values and who does the values and who does. We might touch on that during the show too.
Sure, but
if anybody wants to.
Oh, everybody wants to. I mean, because that's probably I would imagine that's the biggest thing they talk to you about personally is about tax rates and tax values and things of that nature.
And there's such a misconception out there of who does what. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, thank you to Rex Russell. He's also a mayor vegan. I
didn't know that.
That's what he says. Well, that's his title. But anyway, he's more like the Duke of Vegan or something like that. But Russell Wealth Group, myfinancialbox.com, hit the link. He'll set you up with some advice about 401ks, retirements, etc. Have a little coffee with you. This market is crazy, so you need somebody who knows what they're talking about. So Rex Russell can do that. And these next 3 ladies, I've just gotten to know through a networking group, which has been Very, very nice. You got to come visit sometime because we can bring visitors. It's called BNI, and we meet it on Wednesdays at the Hampton. All right. Anyway, Optavia, Kimmy Etheridge, 817-789-1622. It's a weight loss, weight maintenance, lifestyle plan. You can help lose weight, and she'll help keep it off. My brother-in-law does this, and so he says it's great. And it's not one of these painful diets, so so that's a good thing. Also, I'm sure you know this outfit, Southern Gym, over on the top of the Windmiller Building. Yeah.
Too well.
Too well. Oh, does Mrs. Fletcher know where it is the important question.
I got the greatest wife in the world. Yeah. I really do. So during Christmas time, I just go up and pay for it.
Well,
and it works out really well.
Well, she does have like wish lists. You can go up there and the wives would say, tell my husband to buy this. And that's kind of stuff. So we got all that going on. And dadgummit, I got the sound wrong. Anyway, but she really is a sweet lady. Gayla Moore's has become a friend, and she has great inventory. She's looking to expand. In fact, she's going to be taking like more space up in that top of the Windmiller Building. So it's a good thing. Well, I don't know if it's top on that one, but the one they're building. In addition to the standard, there's another.
Is she going to move over to that one?
It's possible.
She needs to send out a notice to Nancy so we know exactly where to go. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. My wife went there, and and she comes back, and all this stuff and all this, Anyway, also HotWorks. You probably know this. Also, Kimmy, I keep saying that. Michelle Humphrey. Michelle Humphrey has this. Infrared spa. They do Pilates, they do yoga, they do all sorts of workouts on an infrared system. So it burns the calories a lot quicker than just when you walk around the neighborhood. Several people I know use HotWorks, and and they got programs that are age appropriate. They got them for that are health appropriate, and it's a really good program. So it's over by the Kroger and the theater over on John Jones. All right, so the first thing is. The need for the bond is what? What exactly is this bond for?
It's 3 items. Mm-hmm. There's two as far as A and B. Okay, and we grouped them in an infrastructure or roads, and it's towards the back of the book.
Right, back of the book. Okay.
And anybody that's watching, if y'all want to pull that up, this is a great read. BurlesonTX.com / it. 2022 bond. And follow along. Yeah. Ask your questions. We need to do all this stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the purpose of this, 10 years ago, we had a bond election, and some of the things, and this is not pointing fingers or anything.
Right.
Some of the things were not met. The first, on the police department, it was recommended a certain size. And we had an opportunity with the building they're in now. Well, it was not the size we needed. So we have that back on here to address that issue. And some of the things that's going on the police department and I brought the study, the BRW study, that was done just before this election. And I don't know the time frames.
Right.
But it was out there. It also addressed the shortfalls from the other study. So there's no way to blame on this. It's just, I think I would have done the same thing if I'd have been on council then. So we have to fix that. We have developments going to the west side that we need to get roads and sewer. And there's another reason for these roads. We're getting clogged up on Wilshire really bad.
Absolutely. I try to avoid it, tell you the truth.
Okay.
I go around it if I can.
I do too. Yeah. So we're trying to get a network where it's going to make it easier in those time of days, like the double turn at Lakeway. We got adding 2 lanes onto Wilshire. We're starting to design and get Renfro, especially at the Centennial area where we have double turn. We need double turns. Now, as you go through this book, I want to show you something at the very bottom. I believe there was something brought up. You just kind of throw to any project in the back. If you look down at the bottom, it will tell you whether it's design. And if it's already been designed, it'll say it's just construction. You'll see the little icons down here.
Right.
Like in the one that I just turned on Hewland Street, that is design and construction.
Okay. I'm looking at the same one you are, and have them both, and has a projected cost of every project.
So we've got that going on. Well, what's really, I hate borrowing money, but the interest rate on this is the right. In the last pie chart we got of last year's status, we had 1% interest on our bond.
That's pretty cheap.
How many dollars would you want at 1% interest?
Yeah.
Load you up?
Well, I don't know. I'm already loaded up as it is, but I got enough debt.
Are we still talking about money?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I like the fact that you have it delineated like that. And you have projected cost. One of the concerns, I guess, that Victoria had last week was that some of these projects were undefined in a sense, that they were just money, but would we be able to shift the money towards things that we may encounter next year or 2 years from now? Is that possible? Can we be flexible with the money?
If it is pertinent to the job, if it's pertinent, say like we got a row of streets over here, we're going to add, fix, and stuff of that nature. We get all of those done, and we have some money left over. Yes, we can take care of some more streets. Okay. And here's the deal, though. When we get this bond, everybody needs to understand we're not going to suck $86 million out of that loan. The thing you got to remember, these are bids. Like one of the things that was brought up is the fact that we raised the dollar amount on the police station. What happened on that is we took a history, got the square footage off of it, multiplied it times the square footage, and we came up with the dollar amount. If you hadn't noticed, everything has gone through the roof.
Absolutely.
So we hired a company to come in and says, this is above our pay level. We need you with your expertise to tell us what this is going to be. So,
but in effect, what some of the reservations about the bond is that it was just like a big chunk of money, and we were going to put it towards these projects, but it may not be to the right projects and whatnot.
It's specific.
One of our respondents here is, can you share the timeline of the police department improvements? When will that be? When is it projected to begin if the bond passes?
On page 5. Let's go down to
Page 5.
It's down here, and it says exactly, if the bonds are approved, when will the project be completed? City Council desires for all programs to be completed within 7 years of the voter approval. So
it's going to take a little while. Is this police station improvement? Is it going to be on where it's at now on the corner of Wilshire?
We're adding on.
Okay, so it's going to be in the same location, just you're going to be expanding that facility, as opposed to building a brand new facility somewhere else.
You know, we've had that discussion, and it's still. We look at, I believe it's Grapevine that put everything in one big building, and it's really a knockout building.
Oh, sure.
But we've got such a good facility right now; it's just too small. I got to share one thing. We have a property room, and the property room is where we have to keep all the evidence of everything we do. It's full. So I guess Connex is out back, which I'm not exactly seeing how that's going to work. I guess we could put a Connex. There's only one key to this thing. Chief Cordell doesn't even have a key to it. So it was stuff of that nature. We got officers coming in that has no place to sit. We're in a bind on this.
Right.
But I forgot what the question was.
Well, the question was, are we going to expand on that facility on the corner, or are we going to find property and build a new building?
With the way the land is right now, we're adding on to this. This is all about adding on.
Now, you mentioned 1% interest rate. Is it possible that once this bond is approved, those rates could change?
There is. There is. But I'm sorry.
That's right. He's a busy man. He's getting a phone call.
I should have turned
Just
that
tell
off.
Joe Biden to wait. Joe Biden's calling you up for some advice.
Brett Jimerson.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Should I have answered it?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Jimerson's going to wait.
He's a good guy.
Yes, he is.
So let's go back to the question.
The question was, you pass the bond and it's a low rate. Will that rate change?
It could. It could. But historically, it's not going to change by much. Okay. It's not going to be a drastic change like on your mortgage or another loan.
So it's not a fixed rate, but it's going to vary. But it's not going to be dramatic, like go from 1% to 9%.
Please don't ask me how a bond works, because they're selling certificates and everything.
Right. And it is a complex operation. But it just as far as going back to the needs, I guess. does the police department, but also there's a fire station. Do we know what we need right now?
Yeah, the study showed that.
Okay, and so the bond issue isn't just some generic, here's some money, now go make us a fire station.
No.
Right.
And it's still under control of the council. Even though it's on this list, if we go down the road and it's higher, and it could be, I mean, we don't know what the market's going to, nobody knows what this economy model is going to do. But it's still under control. We still have to approve it before we proceed to building.
Well, okay, so that was one of the concerns. I mean, I talked to a couple of people, and they're not like fretting about it, of course, but they were like, "Well, what is this money going to? What is it? I know we need a fire station, but where and how much, and what are they going to get, and what will this bond get us?" Those things have been discussed and figured out as best y'all can. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. If we come down through here and we're over budget on the building, we will have to make the decisions per presentations by our fire chief, our police chief. If we need to get a study on how to do this, one of the things that I brought up that I have a problem with design build companies where you have an architect and the general contractor working for the same person because there's no incentives really to save money for us.
Now, another question I heard was, how will this impact the city budget if this passes? It won't. Okay.
No. And this is another deal. There's a chart out there, a bar chart, that shows the bottom color shows our actual debt. Okay. Then you come up to second color is what is available to us to borrow. The top color is our credit limit. As long as we stay in that gray area, our payment doesn't change. Now, it might fluctuate a little bit up, but we're going to have the same payment that we've had this whole time. It's not affecting the budget. That's the reason, and we'll get into the rate. That's the reason our rate is continuing to go down. Let's talk about the rate just for a second, okay? Because it's money. There is a deal that it was brought up by the state, by all the officials in Austin, and it's called NNR.
I don't know what that means.
No new revenue adjustment. Okay. And what that says is a city has to take a look at the revenue increase and reduce your rate to offset overages. In other words, you got to qualify this too, because the city's expenses have gone sky high. Our fire trucks gets 2 miles to the gallon, and it's at close to $6.
Need a Tesla then, don't you? Right, Taylor?
Whose Tesla's that out back?
That's his.
That is mine.
That's yours?
Yeah. So maybe you ought to have electric fire engines.
Can you plug your car into the house?
Yep.
He's a big.
To charge or to pull off of it?
To charge.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, well, back to what you're saying. All right, I got all distracted.
I know.
But I guess that was, again, the concern. Because a lot of people have a vague idea how bonds work, and they think, okay, you buy the bonds or you borrow the money, and there's interest to be paid. And they're thinking, is that interest payment going to come like a line item out of the budget?
It stays the same.
Stay the same? Okay.
That's the reason we're able to do all of this. We just dropped it 2.5 cents. And, I was pushing to get our property tax reduced. But the bottom line is the state actually mandated that you have to do it. We're hoping to get another 3 cents on the next one. Okay? Our sales tax is strong. That's helping. Alex and all that bunch is really knocking it out of the park. We got some great surprises coming up.
Oh, so yeah, because I've had Alex on before, and he was like trying to get secrets out of a spy. He wasn't going to say, well, we got some things coming up. And I go, what? What are they? No, I can't tell you.
He baits us too, so it's okay.
All right.
But we got some really, really good things coming up that I'm proud of.
No, so this is not really going to affect the budget directly. Now we get into the differences between a general obligation and what was the CO again?
CO, there's a way to go. Certificate of obligation.
Right. That's what I was
thinking. Screwed me up, Brad.
I'm sorry.
Certificate of obligation and also a general obligation.
Right. Now this is different than maybe past bonds, because I get this question also, and I have for myself as well. When you ran a couple of years ago, one of the concerns you had was debt limits and the use of debt. That was one of your main campaign issues. how would you tell somebody that had that same question why this is a good idea versus what went on in the past? Because what the needs.
I don't want to say in the past. I'm just going to tell you what it is now.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so when I was running, there was a chart put out by the state that compared towns' debt per capita, and we were way up on towns our size.
Right. I remember we talked about that when you were campaigning and you were sat in that seat. Yes.
Yeah.
And you showed me that information. Yes.
And we were right on the edge of the growth. We had not got blistered yet, but so what has happened now, and this is the purpose of this bond, is the growth that we are seeing coming out of Fort Worth.
Right.
And the available land. If you'll notice on 35 in Fort Worth, all the commercial.
Yes.
Well, all those people need a place to live, and they're coming south.
Making these giant warehouses.
Yeah, all the way to Cleburne.
Right.
Okay. So it's our job. We get presentations, and I want to touch on one thing. Council listens to presentations. We have our opinions on things. We voice those. I have got some projects that I've asked for that are fixing to be brought up, but we listen to our people at City Hall and their suggestions. We got a great city manager, our economic development, all these guys. Our finance director is knocking it out of the park. But all of this is tied back to the property tax. All of it, managing our money and doing that. So I want to look at like Arlington, where they're landlocked. We need to be looking down the road on our commercial side and the right kind of property tax, how land is being built, our infrastructure. We need to be planning for 30, 40 years down the road, because Arlington's landlocked.
Right.
They're lucky to have venues like the stadiums and stuff of that nature. There's a lot of these towns right here that are landlocked, and they've got to continue on, and they've got issues they got to deal with, but they don't have any more growth.
But the difference between this general obligation and the certificates of obligation.
Okay, I'll get back to that.
That was a big question because a lot of people, debt is debt is debt. They see bonds and
I said that. I actually said that.
Right, but they think that the people I was visiting with, some of my Sunday school class, some just sent me a couple of questions, whatnot. They don't differentiate between these two types of bonds. So what is the difference between what we're doing here versus a certificate of obligation?
Okay, if you go online and pull up our bonds, I think there's a chart online. You will see that in the past everything was COs, certificate of obligation.
Right.
Certificate of obligation does not go to the citizens. Okay.
Okay.
It is voted on by council, and I don't agree with that. Even know that I knew when I asked for the bond committee, I wanted a general obligation, meaning that it has to go to the citizens and voted on. That's important to me. Have
you had people come and ask you the questions I just asked you about why this bond is necessary and things of that nature?
Oh yeah,
I would imagine.
Absolutely, and I want to make this available to everybody.
Right.
My email to the city, the mayor's email, there's two of them, mayor@burlesontx.com and also cfletcher@burlesontx.com. Send me an email, and if you want to talk about this, all you got to do is put your phone number on it. Tell me what you want to talk about so I can be prepared. And every night I answer every call. Even the ones I don't want to talk to, I still call them, okay? I can call you back, Brad.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right.
But this is, if you got questions on this bond, you need answers, ask your councilman or councilwoman, call me, leave your number. And I do this for everything, not just the bonds. I do this to everybody. And I guess on the selfish side of this thing, instead of sending emails back and forth, in a conversation, we get it said and done. And I don't know if anybody's been upset about the conversation.
Well,
even when they don't get what they want.
Well, right. It's a lot better. It's a lot more personal and a lot more direct, and they can have response instead of spending 2 hours volleying email back and forth. Now, what also this bond is two different propositions, A and B. One's on the roads, one's on public safety. Are they separate votes? Like when the
Yes.
so when the voter comes in, they're going to have to cast 2 different votes.
Proposition A and Proposition B.
So it's possible one will pass and the other one won't.
Absolutely.
Okay. My guess is they'll both pass or both fail, but my guess is this will pass. That's not the feeling I get. I'm not sensing anybody saying we don't have the need for it. Now, there may be questions about how it's structured and all this other business, but everybody that I visited with say, we need another fire station. We definitely need road improvements, and on and on and on. So
well, I'm hoping they think that way. But then again, I've been to several things where there was a lot of misinformation.
Right.
And that's really not the case. There is when you go in, you're going to see the projects listed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I wanted to be sure that it was specific to the project. Now, it doesn't have the details, and it's not in this one. We got a Reader's Digest version of this. This is all online. But see, this is all broke out. In the Reader's Digest version, it's just a front and a back. It is listed, quick listed. It doesn't have the explanations. This has got some good background on the fire department and the police department. And this is the big one. I should have brought one of the Reader's Digest.
Now, this is no. This is good because it's very informative to me. You know, particularly the last back pages. It talks about the expansions. It has diagrams and things of that nature. When you talk about misconceptions at these speaking events, what is the main misconception?
Property tax.
They think it's
that
gonna
they
raise the
think
tax.
the city is doing their valuations and they're not. And let me say something else about evaluations.
Okay.
You can protest your evaluation, and I'm hearing they're having tremendous success of winning those. So, and I think they're about $300. What scares me the most about the valuations is our people that are on fixed incomes.
Yes.
How are they going to manage this?
That's a good question because I'm getting to that point pretty soon.
It bothers me a lot. Well, you already got your property tax frozen, don't you?
No, I'm not 65 yet. I look it, but I'm not quite there.
Well, I was guessing 45.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm still a little bit. I know I look ancient, but I still got 5 years. But you know, also when we were just talking before the show is, do people have the misconception that we're looking, you know, to be elaborate or ornate or whatever you want to say with the
That's never
construction?
been brought up.
Yeah,
That hadn't been brought up.
All right, so they're not worried about, you know, it's really more the question about the structure of the bonds than the need for the bonds. You know, I'm just asking, do you have people thinking that we're going to be using bond money to make fancy stuff with it?
Well, I tell them up front that this is a no frills bond.
Okay.
There's nothing on this about landscaping or parks, and we've already got funds in there for a lot of our parks. And
Good. I think one of the best things that's happened in the Burleson the last few years is that we've done some pretty nice things. You know, we've got a splash pad coming up.
and that was on the last administration.
Well, okay.
So I'll give credit where credit's
Well, I
due.
appreciate that. You know, but I like the splash pad. I like the mural they're painting at Bailey Lake. I like.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is. And it's like, and those are the things I like about Burleson is that it's not just a functional town, but it's a town you want to live in, and it's become more and more that way. Yeah, and I like that. Maybe at the other side of the commercial break, we can talk about if there are other ideas like that, but we're just focusing on the bond. This bond isn't going to go for the.
Well, let me tell you something else that's happened.
Okay.
You need to go, or
No. I'm just having a
Okay.
commercial break, but I can go as long as you want today.
one of the things that's been kind of a concern as mayor is our communication with our people. And Shannon Creek came up wanting the park. And we had a presentation, and it was designed, did a great job by the director and everything. But it really wasn't what Shannon Creek wanted. And you brought up the splash pad. The splash pad was designed by the citizens being able to select their amenities. They had the little easels up at the brick, and you could go in and put your color dot on what you wanted. And I asked our director, said, could you do that on the park? Get a hold of Shannon Creek, let them pick what they want and everything. And this will be the first park. It is now into the final designs. This will be the first park that Shannon Creek had input on. And it's coming in a little higher than I wanted, but, and here's the other thing, I'm worried that Shannon Creek's not going to like the amount of people that's going to be in their park, but it's servicing a lot of apartments. It's 115 acres.
Right.
And it's going to have a pond on it like Bailey Park. It's pretty neat, but I'm really proud of the fact that council has allowed the citizens to be part of their park.
Well, and I what I've really liked is the fact that because of the plaza, because of these parks, because of Splash Pad coming, because of the dog park, there are more and more opportunities for Burleson people to get together and do things and become more and more of a community as opposed to just a suburb or something like that.
I agree.
And I really like it. And it makes not just my home values go up, which makes blessing, but it makes living in Burleson more of an enjoyable event.
And I'm proud of our council in the fact that I believe now we have quit micromanaging. We're more about setting policies long term and getting things done that way. And that's the reason we're having so much success getting parks moved along and the dog park. Dog park was really pretty much done by the time I got in.
Right.
But we kind of finished it.
Yeah, sure. And
I don't like taking credit for stuff when other people do
Well,
it.
I know. And the thing about it is, these things that are occurring now, I mean, assuming it passes, it's going to, how long will it take to do all this? About 7 to 10 years?
The deal says we want to be done by the end of the 7 years.
Yeah.
But we might not get everything done. If it gets too expensive, we're not going to do it.
Well, I mean, just road construction alone is a time-consuming occurrence. And so
we really are at the mercy of TxDOT.
Yeah.
But with having people on the 3 boards and having a presence there, Victoria is going to be on our COG because she has connections through Chet Edwards.
That's a council of governments for us uninitiated, but it's a group.
And then I got Dan on the RTA. So if we all work together on this, we might have more of a presence with TxDOT.
Well, also we talk about Wilshire, and everybody knows what the problem is. But where I live out in the east of the highway, we have 2 major housing developments coming in, and they're going to be using Renfro. Yeah, a big one. That's going to be.
You going to jump on me too?
No, no. Is it?
No, it's legitimate. It's legitimate.
No, I don't blame you for it.
I live in Oak Valley, and when schools going in and going out, and that's the first phase of Renfro.
Well,
and the double lanes going into it, and we're adding lanes.
But how much ability do you have to widen Renfro out to where these housing developments are going? All between. Centennial and Stribling, there's 2 of them. Does the city have the ability just to, widen those lanes? From what I understand, those are state
Victoria
highways.
said it right. We don't own that road.
Right.
But anytime a city will come in and help design and go down what we need, the city doesn't tell the designers what to do. They come in, they take all the potential. We give them all the potential that's going on, and they design the off-ramps, the turning lanes, and all that stuff. So this isn't something that we tell them what to do, but the big key is getting the design is not time restraints.
Right.
Getting TxDOT to come out.
Good luck with that, huh?
Well, but that goes back to the 3 committees that that we've gotten everybody on.
Wait, when I drive by, they're moving dirt on Renfro. It's right next to.
That's where I was at yesterday.
Yeah, is that there yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
And, when I drive by it, I don't blame anybody. I mean, because that's the nature of a growing community. And we need homes. I mean, I've talked many times about housing values in Burleson being overpriced for young couples like my daughter.
I agree.
And so I don't have a problem with what's happening, but I'm not unaware of what's going to happen in terms of traffic or the local schools. I'm sure you and Dr. Jimerson have had that conversation more than once.
Not yet.
Well, you're not yet? Okay. Well, you will soon, I can promise you, because I'm sure they got the same data you have. But I just, I don't get upset by that because that's just the way it is.
The nature of the beast. Somebody owns a piece of land.
Right.
That's their land.
Right. If I had 30 acres and I wanted to sell it and let somebody build houses on it, that's my right. And so I don't have a problem with it, but I do understand that it is going to put stress on infrastructure. And I think that's where a lot of people really want to focus on.
Okay, so the land you're talking about, and I believe this is right, it's got their earth movers and all the big rigs on it right now. The cul-de-sac back behind that, a lady called me up, and I went out to her house, talked to her for a minute. Everybody on that cul-de-sac's been there 35 years. And I know some other people on the cul-de-sac. So I'm looking across. You can look right at the trucks. And I said, well, ma'am, I tell you what, and I had her phone number. What if I had this guy come over and talk to you? So I go over there and I pick out the nicest truck there. I figured that's the one that's, and I got lucky and I pulled up and I introduced myself and sure enough, it was the owner. And I said, I need a favor. There's a lady right over there. Would you go talk to her? I said, I'll go with you if you need me to. He said, I'll go do that. So I gave him the address. And I said, when you get through, you call me. Mm-hmm. And he went over there and talked to her, and they got it worked out. The big rigs are moving out on Friday, and the dust ought to settle down.
It's hope.
And he's a really nice guy. He says, I understand, and I'm sorry. But, this communication between people it's so important. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I try to do. The deal on Irene, the McNairan, on the alley.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
I stepped in on a Facebook deal and had two other people going back and forth. That's going to get me in trouble one of these days.
Well, it does.
But I got in a consensus between the two groups, and we didn't get everything, but we are moving down the road on it. At least people are knowing that we're seeing it. This communication that's huge. Well, and it shortens my day, too.
Well, I tell you what, though, here's an offer. If you have something you need out there, just let us know. Even if you don't have to come on the show, you just say, hey, mention this on your show. Do so. And it's not a problem. I've done that before.
Communication is everything, and I appreciate that.
Sorry, my vast listening audience, I don't know. I do get some, and, that listen sooner or later. Most people access this show at their convenience on Apple or Spotify, but they'll get the word out. So if you have something that you need known, not just about this bond, about anything, just give me a text or give me a holler, and we'll say, hey, before we go on to what we're talking about, before I go on my Joe Biden rant, you need to know this. But anyway, I'm going to go to the second round of commercials here, and then we'll finish up with the bond and the streets, and I'm going to ask you about a proposal that may get people pretty excited, one way or the other.
We're ready.
All right, but anyway, thank you to Otto at Our Place. I know that you've been there a few times.
Oh, absolutely. Good food.
Yeah,
I love their breakfast.
Yes, I do too. I'm going to be having it on Thursday. The Minima Sunday School class get together every other Thursday.
I want to say something else they do.
Yeah.
I believe it's on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
They have senior citizens who have lost their spouses. Mm-hmm. There's about 80 of them, and that is just such a great. So anybody out there that's needing friends and stuff, it's
and support group.
You might call Our Place and find out, but they are yakking and talking and having a good time up there. So you might let that out.
You know where Otto is right now?
He's overseas.
Where?
Dubai. I know.
My gosh, who goes to Dubai? I'm going to vacation. I'm going to Cleveland. No, he goes to Dubai. But he's been very helpful in a lot of ways. Very good sponsor, but also good community citizen. Also, we have Wild Cigar. Are you a cigar smoker? No. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Are you?
Very, very occasionally.
Do you know the difference between a good one and a bad one?
Not really.
I didn't.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. I think the good one, the bad one is who paid for it. And then, so that's about it. No, but he's an old student of mine, Chris is. And what we're going to discuss in a minute is related to him to some degree. But it's a very nice place. And it's a place you can go to and you can take your mother in without, it's not some, it's not cloudy and smoky, whatever else. And
beverage?
You could get what you want.
Okay.
He has both adult beverages and non-adult beverages.
That's good.
So he, it's really the focus of his bar is have a cigar, have a conversation. It's not real loud. It's not like a sports bar. I mean, they may have the ball game on the TV, but it sounds off. But it's a really nice place. And it has a lot of meeting places. Maybe
you need to go in there.
You don't need to.
I can't smoke.
I know. You don't have to. And I'm betting you're not a heavy drinker. I'm just guessing.
I get one a week.
Okay. Well, that's a good place to get it then.
Okay.
But I just don't. I mean, you don't strike me as somebody that has like a full stock bar in your house.
No.
Mrs. Fletcher wouldn't allow that, I'm sure. But but anyway, it's a good place. But like I said, he brought up an issue that was brought up in council about a month ago. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Also, thank you to Antonio Basalo, Proactive Payment Solutions. He does those point of sales operations. So if you're like a vendor at the farmer's market or whatnot, you could do automatic payments, with debit cards or Square or
Excellent.
Venmo or whatever. And we're going to have him on in about a week from Saturday because he's a working man and he has a very interesting story personally that I'm hoping people will tune into. But he does really good work. So I know he's going to be looking to go to the farmer's market to to make some, contacts with people who probably could use mobile payment solutions as opposed to just all cash. Also, thank you to Payne Beagles, another former student. Beagles Technology Solutions makes your home a smart home. You can do drone videos. He can migrate your data to one spot to another. BeaglesTech.com is where all this happens. 817-944-3572. This smart home business is a new thing. He had explained it to me. But basically, you can program your whole house and just operate from the phone or from maybe your laptop or something. And it's a pretty good deal. And then, of course, Tiffany Griffin over at Local Life. Local Life magazine. It's coming out next week. LocalLifeTX.com. That's a good, you're talking about communication. I would hook up with her for a monthly kind of arrangement.
I would like to do that. We need something. We've lost our paper.
Yes, but she comes out and she does local articles as well as the ads. And it goes to 30,000 homes in this area. So and I see it not just in the mailboxes, but I also see it, go to, any store or any business, I'm in the waiting room or something, I see 2 or 3 copies of it. And so that would be a good person to talk to.
Well, and I think she's going to do a question and answer on there. So,
yeah, I know she does interactive stuff. Right. She's on about once every 6 weeks, and she'll come on and talk about local business and maybe bring somebody with her. But anyway, back to what we're talking about here. All right, let's finish up on the bonds. Okay, the election's May 7th, right?
Correct. And I need you to remind people when it's time.
Oh, no problem.
And I think I got another show ahead of that.
Yeah, you have the Monday of that week. I get the dates mixed up. I see the 30th is a Saturday. It'd be May 2nd.
Is it a Monday or Tuesday?
It's a Monday.
That's okay.
All right, so you'll be on May 2nd. We can talk about this and maybe other questions that have come up or other developments or, whatnot, certainly. But also early voting. Where is the early voting going to be?
Senior citizens.
Okay, so all the voting is at senior citizens.
Yes.
Okay, I knew that May 7th was at the senior citizens, which is good because that's, I go to these votes and that's who operates and mans the voting tables is usually volunteers from there. So it's a senior citizen. So early voting starts. I'm trying to find it. I just saw it.
It's on the back. I think it's on the back. Voter information on the very back page, right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay, good. It's going to start April 25th and goes for about a week. In fact, you'll be on the show during a day of early voting on May 2nd, so maybe you can push some people to the polls then.
Excellent.
And having it Saturday and Sunday. That's interesting. Now, you have to be a citizen, a resident of Burleson.
Correct.
Because, see, I live just outside, but I benefit from everything that Burleson does.
Well, I was at a deal in Claiborne, and I told the guys, I said, listen, I'm talking about this bond. No, it was at Rose's. It was a Bible study. And I'm sitting there telling him, it says, how many of y'all got here on a Burleson Road? Think about it. So if you're, and there's people out there just playing against bonds. They hate property taxes, and I do too. I have to pay them too.
Yeah.
But, life goes on. You can say no to the bond, but just do it for the right reasons. Be informed on how you're voting.
When I was talking with Victoria, both of us agreed that these are things we need. And so a lot of people, I think, that take any moment of thought to it, understand it. Now, there are concerns or questions, and hopefully we can get those answered and whatnot, and that kind of thing. But I don't think anybody that's paying attention to this town should doubt that we need another fire station. We need a bigger police station. Certainly the roads are an issue. I'm glad that you were able to answer the questions, though, about the detail of it, because, again, that's where a lot of people get lost in the weeds. And so I'm glad you showed that in this pamphlet here that Isn't
that a good book?
Yes, it is. Deanna did a great job. But I'm glad that you have the designation about how much it costs in the design and construction phases, or is it one or the other or both? I think that helps. Now, as far as the vote itself, the voter turnout on these things aren't that high. Now, I've had school bond elections that have been pretty significant, but it's also a bigger voting area. It's the district, not the city. What kind of turnout do you think is going to happen? I mean, have you heard a lot of push? I haven't heard much against the bond, but then again, most of the stuff for the bond has been in conversations like this, on this kind of show and that kind of thing.
There's no way to predict what it's going to be, but as far as for it, I've had a few people. So I did this post and I explained my West Texas version of what it was and everything, and we had like 240 or 50 reactions, and it was all positive. I had 2 people that just beat the tar out of me. And that's fine. That was dead set against it.
Well,
so when I sit down and speak and answer questions, show them what I've got, I've won a lot of people over.
When you speak in public, to whom are you talking to? Like the Lions Club or
I talk
or whatever?
Rotary, Lions Club.
Right.
I've got one coming up with the Chamber of Commerce out at Lost Oak. Any group. I've gone into houses where they have gotten the neighbors together, and that's where you send it to me online, and I'll do it. But when I go in and talk to them, they're pretty blunt.
Oh, no, really? Burleson people blunt?
Heritage Estates out here is our age, and they were blunt about property taxes. And, I explained it out, how we're doing this and doing that. And I love those groups. I mean, they got good food.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything's great.
Anything's
but
better
the key
with food.
is the communication. And I'm not the only one that can answer these questions. Get this book, go online, and be informed. I mean, it's the bottom line. Just be informed.
A couple other things. So on a somewhat different topic. When I mentioned Wild Cigar, I had Chris on, say, I think it was November. I don't know if you met Chris Notaboom, the owner.
I hadn't yet.
Okay. He's one of my former students and very, very fine man, very community-oriented.
I have 15,000 new friends.
I bet you do. And probably that many that, you all expect something, but he was telling me that he had to buy his liquor for his bar from one spot only.
Yes.
Liquor Depot. And there was a proposal to maybe change the laws of this town to allow for liquor stores in Burleson. I'm curious because I know you well enough to know by now that you're not a heavy duty party guy. How do you feel about that change?
I don't want liquor stores all over Burleson.
All over or at all?
All over. All right. Okay. All over.
Okay.
But I understand the need, and the brewery and Lone Star. All these guys go to Alvarado to get their consumables.
So,
is that what you call it?
Yeah, but so does Wild, and so does Fresco's, and
yes, everybody.
All these restaurants that we go to and support. Even if you're not buying alcohol, you're supporting the restaurants.
So what we're looking at, Amanda, our city secretary, which is kind of the legal side, is working with Matt to come up with a zoning that will allow us to have this, but not close to what we already have.
Well, I think what the big concern about the liquor store would be not so much like Total Wine coming in and putting a store near H-E-B or Kroger, but having these small little discount liquor stores and strip shopping malls, kind of the lower end of the spectrum in terms of the, shall we say, the quality of clientele.
We really don't want that. We don't want any small liquor stores all through the town. What we want is one group that you can go outside, maybe in a commercial area or something like that. And I guarantee people want it bad enough, they'll find out where it is.
Oh, sure.
So, but a place where our restaurants can go and get their materials. So,
well, I think for me personally, it'd be disingenuous when you say, I don't want liquor store, I don't want Total Wine in Burleson because I go to Total Wine in Fort Worth. And I know the direction to the Liquor Depot down Alvarado, and so does a lot of Burleson people. It's like the joke I was making with Victoria is Baptists like us, we don't recognize the Koran, the Pope, or each other at the liquor store. And that's, my personal view, I have no problem with the Total Wine or a Specs or some legitimate upstanding establishment. What I don't want is something like next to the laundromat down or near the Taco Casa or something like that in some cheap cut rate liquor joint. And I think a lot of people feel the same way.
How do you say yes to one and no to another?
Well, zoning, I would hope.
How do you know? Zoning.
Well,
you got to be careful how you do this, or you have to be fair to everybody.
Right, but isn't there a way that you can zone it in such a way that it requires certain distance from other businesses, or certain square footage, or certain part of town? Because, you go to...
This is the best part of my job.
Yeah.
Amanda has to take care of that.
Okay. Well, if you could... See, my assumption is that if you you could put certain parameters on where and how large and what they sell for businesses. You can zone maybe, say, okay, it has to be X number of square footage. I don't know if the legal aspect of that, and I guess
I don't either.
That's what the staff is for, to answer that question for you. My personal view about the stores is I think it would help the local restaurant establishments. And it also, most people in Burleson, they have to make a long drive. I don't know. I think it would add to the community in tax revenue, jobs, et cetera.
But see, that if you want to help the restaurants, you only need one location. Mm-hmm. You don't need a bunch of them. You just need a location. They're going to give you the best deals.
Well, and another concern is maybe other communities in Johnson County might get this idea, and you'll have Cleburne or Joshua jump on this ahead of us, and therefore the revenue.
Maybe they need to.
Well, yes.
I think there'll be enough revenue just off our restaurants here that if they did it right, they'd have and you're going to get the retail sales too.
Mm-hmm. We have a question here. Can the city get sued for even discussing zoning discrimination? I mean, we're not talking about doing it ourselves or anything, but it's a factor.
Zoning discriminations. What do you?
Well, like you just mentioned, how do you say yes to one and no to another?
You develop the zone properly so you don't.
All right.
Well, I mean, this is bottom line. Let's go back to multifamilies right now. We don't like multifamilies right now, but we have landowners that already has that in place that we can't. We can't change that unless the landowner says okay.
Well, I guess that this whole conversation about zoning, I want to make sure, because to the respondent, is just hypothetical, and I don't know the law, and probably we have people on the staff that know the law, and they'll navigate the law appropriately. And as far as potentially discriminating in zoning, it's just what if and right now.
We won't bring that zone. That zone won't even be available until all the legal side is taken care of.
And is it possible if we wanted total wine-in, we're also going to have to allow maybe some stores we don't care for? It's possible, isn't it?
No, it'll happen.
It'll happen. Okay.
I mean, it's not impossible. But when money's involved, people will do whatever they got to do. Mm-hmm. That sounded bad, didn't it?
No. Anyway, one last thing. I was just on a personal note. Tell me what you have learned about being mayor the last couple of years.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I mean that right there is a whole show by itself. Which
I think one of the things I like the most is the city employees.
Really?
Oh my gosh! They're there for every need on council. Mm-hmm. They take care of my schedule. They do all of this. I have any time of day. This city manager and his deputy city manager has just been super.
Right.
It's really I've kind of been accused of being too close to the city manager, but I don't care. We get just stuff done.
I would think you need a working relationship with the city manager.
He's got, and we're so opposite. He is prim and proper. He's actually kind of a little bit of a nerd. I hope he hears this.
Oh, well,
he's a little bit of a nerd.
Number crunching.
And here's a West Texas farm boy redneck, and we are so together on stuff. And what he brings to council is just amazing as far as the growth of the town and the direction we can go and the possibilities. And he is 100% for each council member. He doesn't have favorites in this, the whole thing. I've talked to him about stuff. Mayor can't do that. Okay.
Well, that's good to know that they have the ability to tell you no, in effect,
Right.
And that's a good thing that they have that kind of confidence in y'all's relationship.
It took a while to get it there too. There was a learning period between us, and what I heard during the election, I was pretty upset with him, and it was totally wrong. It was what I heard was wrong.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, it does.
Now, in other parts, I know you get to go and speak to all these various groups. That must be gratifying.
It really is. Yeah. I think I've had Nancy and I've gone out to eat, and little old women come up. Can I pray for you?
Well,
yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
So, I love going to the kids, and a couple of times I've had them come up and hug my leg, and
that's nice.
It really is. It is, and the whole council is doing what's right. It's not nonpartisan. We're getting more streamlined on how we do our council meetings and shortening those up, and staff is more relaxed.
That's good.
It really is.
What part of the job can you do without? That's a hard question. Because
No, it's really not. I'm just trying to figure out how to say it.
Well, is it having to deal with people that may be a bit intense and based on emotion or inappropriate information or whatever, wrong information? They kind of get it.
Social media.
Yeah.
And texting, where you're going back and forth. And, there was a Facebook page, and they've got their project going, and they're adamant about no new bonds. Okay.
Right.
And everybody understands my position except one individual. And somebody came to my defense, and I want to say they know who it is, and I appreciate it. But one of the things that when somebody is so adamant and they don't want to see the other side,
right?
For me to walk away is hard on me. I had 2 nights of this where I didn't go to sleep till 2:00 one morning and 3:00 the next morning, and what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? It really really bothers me.
But the good stuff outweighs the tough stuff, right? I mean, the speaking, the feeling of service that you're moving forward, and not everybody's going to be satisfied, and that's unfortunate. But that's the nature of free societies, right? People have their own opinions, but I can imagine it's a pretty tough job, and I
it's not. It's really not.
Really, okay.
There's moments that really go downhill fast. I'm at Lowe's the other day. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking down the aisle, got my head looking at my phone for my list. Mm-hmm. This hand comes up on my shoulder and it says, "How you doing, Mayor?" Uh-huh. And I didn't know this man from squat. Uh-huh. This was a total stranger to me, and just patted me on the back, said, "You're doing a good job." And that's all it was. And that just made my day right there.
Sure.
I like it.
I will, and I'm glad that people are like that because, you know better than I how contentious the election was. I'm glad that's behind us. And speaking of which, here's the question. You going to run again?
Oh, yeah. Why would I not? I
don't know. Maybe
my whole thing is set up on long-term policies.
Okay.
And if I don't have everything I need, I've got we got RFPs out on the corners of the golf course. We're keeping the golf course. Mm-hmm. We're going to develop those corners and make the golf course more viable.
Okay.
And Jen has hired a new manager at the golf course, James. We got the new fence going in, or parts to fix the fence.
That's a good golf course, by the way. I haven't.
It really is.
It's very nice for a city course.
We just got to make it make money.
Well, right. Well, I mean, I assumed you'd say, yes, I'm going to run again. But then again, there's somebody else you have to consult on this. Mrs. Fletcher, I just wondered if she's
on board.
She's on board with it.
Which she answered no before I did when it was first asked of me.
Right.
And then things happened. She said, "You need to go fix this." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Okay, doke." And we're both on board. We think it. We truly believe it's a God thing. I sit up there sometimes, things come out of my mouth, and when I get home, she says, "Where'd that come from?"
I'm quite familiar with that. So you really feel like this is what you are meant to be doing? This is your calling?
I do.
Okay.
I think the timing of me selling the business and the year off, and then the phone call and things that happened. Mm-hmm. I got a deal. This was kind of funny. Mm-hmm. We had a Bible, our small groups, as we call them at our church, and the subject was everybody's supposed to bring their favorite scripture. And my favorite scripture changes to the way my days are going. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying, which one? So I'm in the 23rd Psalms, and I'm reading the NIV.
Right.
And I get down to the part where it says, in the NIV, that it says the darkest valley. Mm-hmm. In others it says the valley of death.
Right.
But in NIV it says the darkest valley. Mm-hmm. And so I got to thinking about that, and I said, well, that's the first and third Monday of every month. It was tough at times.
Yeah.
So I had a label made that shows Psalms 23.4 NIV on my monitor right at the front. And when it gets a little hairy up there, I just put my thumb on it.
Yeah, well, good.
I've had somebody else put their finger on it too.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
And it relaxes me.
So you've had to lean on your faith in the last couple of years. Because I'm sure there, like you said, there's stressful times, hard decisions to be made, people you have to tell no to that are your friends.
I know.
And that's probably For
And they're
me-
still my friends.
right. But that'd be for me personally the hardest part of being a public official is that, I know somebody for 30 years and I'm going to have to tell them no, and you worry about maintaining that relationship. I can imagine.
Then they're really not your friend.
Well,
If you sit down and talk and you say, this is why I went this way, give me another way out. What would you do? And you can't. And when you talk to them, you're not talking to what will benefit you either. Give me an answer. And I know that I've had to make some decisions they didn't like.
Well, that's the nature of the job, isn't it?
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. And I would think, if I were going to guess your answer, that would be the first thing. Probably the hardest thing to learn is not everybody gets to get to a yes. Sometimes you have to say no. And that's
I'm okay
tough.
with it.
Okay. Well,
And you got to remember too, 35 years of being in business.
Oh yeah.
And out of those 50 guys when I left, I think it was over 10 of them that had been there with me 20 years.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them no, and they understood that I didn't do it for any agenda or anything like that. It was just, and they understand. And I think, I think when you explained that deal of calling me, and I call you back or email me and I'll call you back, people that didn't get their way were still civil. I said, well, I understand that.
That's good. That's the Burleson I know of. And there's all these fundraisers and nonprofits going on. In fact, I want to make sure before we go off the air, so to speak, that I mention Center for ASD, which I know you.
Oh yeah, man, that was a tearjerker when I walked through that sucker.
Right. She was Lisa Boltinghouse was on the show yesterday, and they have this big fundraiser at the Brick Saturday night, and I just think they're a wonderful outfit because I have
all the
couple friends with
need.
it. Yes, and so that I want to make sure. Yeah, thank you, Taylor. It's going to be light up the night. Also, in the last Saturday, I think that'd be the 28th or 29th. I'm not sure the dates, but the last Saturday they're also having like an 80s prom fundraiser. There it is, boy. Taylor, you're on your game today. All right, so it's going to all these things going on, and I particularly since Saturday is coming up really quick. The podcast is already up, so y'all check it out. Also, the Saturday Farmers Market opens up. I'm really looking forward to that. You gonna go take a stroll through every now and then?
Yeah, Chaz has this small little dairy case behind him with steaks in it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
I was raised on the farm. Dad used to feed the calves out for it. And they had this.
Right.
Ever looked at the steak and you see all the marbling in it?
Yeah.
He's got those.
Oh yeah, he's got a very nice operation.
He says he has two set back for me.
Well, I have really enjoyed what that farmers market has brought to the community. A great deal, and I think it's a great economic assistance. Because after you go do your stuff at farmers market, you go to Moon Tower, or you'll go over to Fresco's or Texas Brewery or whatever else that's down there, and or go to Dwell. Right, Taylor, go to Dwell. Have the best day ever.
Best day ever.
He's a big Dwell guy. But anyway, I'm going to run through the ads real quick, and then going to let you tell us what you want the citizens to know. Thank you, Daniel across at Burleson. Hope you're doing well. Hope you and Amber and the kids are doing well over in 317 Southwest Wilshire. So get fit, don't throw a fit. I made that up for him. He's like, he just rolls his eyes. Anyway.
The reason you get the big bucks.
Yeah, that's why. Oh, sure. Well, anyway, Shandy, I hope you're doing well. Hope Ronald and the kids are doing well over at your house. If you're looking to buy in and around the Burleson area, better get a move on.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not going to be cheaper a year from now. So if you're thinking about moving here or changing houses, you better get somebody like Shandy to help you navigate through all of that. So she's a real asset because she comes to the show, like I said, and spells it out for us. Also, thank you to Rex. I've known Rex for a long time. We graduated college together. You know Rex, and you know what a character he is in. But he's very, very good at his job. And hit myfinancialbox.com, hit the link, get to know him, talk about the 401ks, on and on. Kimmy, we'll see you tomorrow, I hope, at Optavia, 817-789-1622, weight loss, weight management, lifestyle. And Gayla, of course. Every woman in Burleson, I think, Aaron mentioned that she's a sponsor. Oh, I know that place. It's become like this place for all the ladies in Burleson to navigate to, but I know it, but it's Mother's Day coming up. And so the mothers in your life would probably enjoy a little jewelry. My wife had something repaired there and she just wears it.
Yeah. Nancy they clean and do stuff for your jewelry that really is. She took one up there one time and one of the settings was loose and they identified that and fixed it.
Well, she knows what she's talking about. It's not just sales. She's an expert. So it's on top of the windmiller building. So there you are. Thank you to Michelle over at Hotworks. You know, it's a different type of workout, and it has all these different types of programs done in an infrared system, so it accelerates the workout experience, so to speak. You know, the weight loss and the calorie burn and all this other business. It's really, really nice. I went over there for a little sponsor care, so to speak, last week, and I was impressed with their facility. And it's secure, by the way. It's you need a code to get in or be let in, so you don't have to worry about slobs wandering in. Also, thank you to Otto. Hope you're having a good time over in Dubai. No doubt you've taken time out to watch this, but who knows? But our place, I have hardly ever gone to our place without it being at least 3/4 if full, if not having to wait. You know, it's that kind of place. Also, Chris, April 1st, this Friday, they're having a grand opening. Cigar and culture, you know, get yourself a decent smoke, get yourself a drink if that's your thing, which I guess you don't go over there.
I need to go.
You need to go.
I need to go
You
and
really
see
do.
what's going on.
Yeah,
I
really
will.
do. Just, I mean, you don't have to go in there and, you know.
He might win me over. I might be a smoker after that.
Well, he does know what he's talking about. I mean, he isn't just a salesman. He's a tobacco expert.
I think I'd look good with a cigar.
Yeah. Oh, you're like a city boss. Okay. You know that. Oh my gosh. I have a feeling Miss Nancy might have something to say about that. But
she'll make a suggestion.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But your wife and my wife sound very similar. But it's a good place, and you really can't take the family there. I mean, I haven't seen like small children there, but it's not a place that, you know, I've seen lots of couples there. It's a good place. And like I said, April 1st, they're having a grand opening. Also, thank you to Antonio. We'll be seeing you in about a week with your point of solutions, point of sales, proactive payment solutions, point of sales operation. And hope you're doing well. So check out the webpage, proactivepaymentsolution.com, and it'll set you up. Payne, hope you're doing well. Beagles Technologies, beaglestech.com, 817-944-3572. Make it, home a smart home. Or if you're an insurance adjuster or whatnot, contractor, real estate, talking about videography, drone videography. That's what I meant to say. And also, of course, Tiffany, the queen of Burleson. LocalLifeTX.com is online right now. Her magazine comes out next week. As far as coming events, I got a couple of people coming Thursday, you know, Mary Slaney and Joni Vanoy.
Mary's coming?
Yes. We're going to talk about Old Town. We're going to talk about, what's going on down there.
Hey, I was on the board of directors at the chamber with her.
Well.
So we've known each other for a long time.
Well, she's going to fill us in on what's going on down there and plans and whatnot, how things are going. And then on Monday, I have this really interesting nonprofit. It's called Meat Meisters. It's a group that you can bring to your fundraisers, and they'll grill for you, and they'll bring the meat. Apparently,
really neat.
Yeah, it's a.
Are they bringing samples?
I'm going to ask them to do that.
I really hope they do.
Yeah, Jordan.
Do you need an opinion? I can read it.
Yeah, Jordan DeWald hooked me up with them. I think in a couple of weeks after that, I'm tentatively scheduled for a return meeting with Andy Nolan. It's somebody you know.
I know
probably.
Andy. He's a good guy.
And so he's my neighbor, and he's running for Justice of the Peace. So he made me make another return visit for the runoff and whatnot.
You know how many police officers get their law degree?
Not many.
I've heard of a couple. Like Phil King's got his law degree. And he's
Phil King.
Yeah.
I contacted him about coming on the show and haven't gotten a response, but it may be
he is so booked up. I mean,
bet.
he has really got a lot on his plate right now.
Well,
you want me to drop a word?
Sure.
See what I can do. He might not even take my call after this.
Oh, I bet he will. You're a big shot, man. He's
Yeah,
not gonna,
right.
You're
Whatever.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mayor, tell us what you want us to know about the bond and about Burleson in general.
Okay, I've already said it. Just be informed, get the right information, then go vote your heart. We do have 20,000, and according to the state of Texas, we're projected to have 20,000 more people in 10 years. So if you're complaining about the roads now and this doesn't pass, please don't call me in about 5 years.
Now, if it doesn't pass, you can't put this back on the ballot for 3 years, right?
I can put it back on the ballot next year.
Next year.
But
okay.
we can't do a certificate of obligation.
Okay, so you just
for 3
can't.
years.
I get it now. Okay, you just can't say, well, the voters said no, but we're going to do it anyway. You got 3
Yeah.
years to wait for that. I get it.
There's an
now.
old saying, and I hope I say this right: failure to plan to fail.
Yeah.
And we have not, and we did not see this situation coming. For us to have this kind of situation on us is nothing we brought on ourselves. We just have to deal with it. If we don't get this done, and knowing how long it takes to get jobs done, going to really have a mess. And here's another thing. When they start adding those lanes on Wilshire, or when we start doing the work on Renfro, Renfro might be easier because we got Hidden Creek.
Yeah.
We can actually go around there.
Yeah, but Renfro's going to be
Renfro.
testing our patience.
Well, Hidden Creek will help Renfro.
Hopefully.
Wilshire is the one that's going to be the mess.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any other alternative streets.
Right.
So bear with us on that, but it's something, if we don't do it now, we'll have to do it later.
So just to make sure I'm clear on it as well, if it passes, then you're talking about anywhere from 6 to 7 year time frame before we actually see the physical results of it. If it fails, you could have another election, but you can't do a certificate of obligation for 3 years. You can't just do this on your own.
Yeah.
And I would think if it fails, you wouldn't want to do a CO because...
Well, we might not have to. This goes back to some of these jobs that you feel you have to do and people aren't going to be happy about it. We might have to do a CO on this.
Well, I would prefer that I hope they pass this. Now, I have a tremendous amount of regard for Victoria, have for years, but I think we do need this. And I told her that more or less last week, but I don't, it's kind of one of those things that good friends going to have to just look at things differently, because I respect Victoria tremendously, but I want to pass it.
I want to defend her a little bit on this, and the fact in business you can't operate by second guessing yourself.
Right.
And it's really, really, really hard to go home at night and not go, well, should I have done this or should I? And that happens. It happens to me. But with all the details and the presentations we have, I'm extremely comfortable with this as far as from the numbers, and the numbers are going to fluctuate. I mean, it's going to happen.
Right.
Council will deal with it. But as far as the need, we don't have a choice on this.
That's kind of where I come down on it. I know Victoria's concerns are legitimate and well thought out, but I think if we come down to it, you have to make a choice. If I had an option personally to vote, this is the choice I'd make.
I appreciate that.
Because this is what we need as a community. This is what, like you said, if we don't do this, the consequences are going to be serious.
It's tough. And these new roads, the roads that we're talking about, also open up new commercial possibilities.
All right.
So there's that. Now I want to say one other thing. If you go online to the city website, there's a place where you can be notified on things going on. And one of the things that's fixing to start happening is our new concert series, which is just, we have blown that out of the park. That has been, they had some ZZ Top last year, some George Strait guys, and this is
George Strait guys, not George Strait. That would have been
not George Strait, George Strait.
That'd have been
everything that we get is somebody that does another act.
Right.
So yeah. No, I wish we had George Strait. We wouldn't be having it at the Plaza.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have a place
those
to
are
down.
great times, and the friendships that's done and the groups that Betty Bailey. One time I was out there and Betty Bailey was there, and she was giving it some movements on the song. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I always do with you, Brad.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to be back May 2nd. And I'm going to leave this here, and I'll wave this around and remind people.
Do you need some more of them?
Well,
I got some in the truck.
No, most people, we're kind of isolated out here.
Go online.
Go online.
It's there.
So I appreciate it. If there's any information you want us to pass along to my vast listening audience, whoever that large that is, just let me know.
I'm not going to get inundated when you bring something up, are you?
Not really.
Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later, guys.